I was laughing the other day about where we met because there was one of the ladies in church who was complaining about her hairstyle. And I said, if you knew the first day I ever met him, I was unemployed at the time, and I was going through my own, life reflection at that time. And I arrived at church. It was just a normal Sabbath where we go to church on Saturday at Santon. And I literally just woke up and put whatever was in my cupboard. And my cornrows were literally dead. I think, my hairstyle my cornrows had been on my hair for probably a month. And I was not looking pretty, that's all I can say. And I remember going to church, and we went into the service, and I remember going and sitting down, and Dawn Minot was a very close friend at the time. And so she came in with this tall guy, and Dawn is also tall. So we saw she was sitting with Sebastine, and so I usually sit next to Dawn at church. So I thought, okay, let me go and sit next to her on the other side. So he was sitting on the side right by the aisle. So I just went, excuse me, and I just went and I sat next to Dawn. Then in the afternoon, we had Dawn had organized a lunch because she said, hey guys, I'm bringing a friend to church. Why don't you join us for lunch at my place? So we went to Dawn's place for lunch, and I remember Sebastine was there, a whole group of us were there. And we were chatting in the kitchen. I think we were warming up all the food, and then I started speaking to him, and I said, "Oh, so where are you from?" And then he said, "Oh, he just started muffling, and what does it matter where I'm from, whatever, acting all cool." And he had like rolled hair and looking all, yeah. So I then said to him, "Where are you from?" And then he didn't say where he's from, and I said, "What? Are you ashamed from where you're from? I know you're from Nigeria." Why can't you just say you're from Nigeria? And I remember saying that. And, and we were going on and on. And that was the first time we ever met. It's not like we dated or anything.
Then the rest becomes history. But the most important thing that I knew God answered that prayer was that night when I saw her and I went home, I called Dawn. I had a friend that was staying with me. He was supposed to come to church with me, but he refused. So when I got back, I came back, what have you been doing in church? I said after church I went to lunch, hanging out with people. So he kept asking, what happened? I was so happy. So I said, man, I met some people today. I met one particular lady. He said, who's this lady? So I was trying to remember her name. I called Dawn. That late night to ask Dawn picked up, hey, hi, sir. I said, look, there's one of your friends. You're calling me to find out my friend. Please, who is this friend? I described, she said, Madi. I said, thank you, Dawn. Sorry for calling you good night. And then, yeah.
And then when we started dating, what happened was Dawn went to the States, and she said, look, please make sure Sebastine continues coming to church when I'm away. And so I said, okay, cool. I'll make sure, if he needs to be picked up or whatever, I'll help out. So there was one day, I was stewardship leader of the church, and I used to organize, and I used to cook the food for the lunch for the church. So I remember we had lunch that day, and then we had the service afterwards. And then I said, look, I'll take you home. And I then dropped him off where he was staying, but instead of just leaving, we ended up sitting in the car, and we chatted from like 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock, until the windows of the car were like, what is the word? They were steaming. Just chatting. Yeah. We then realized we had quite a lot in common. We're both sporty and competitive, and so we chatted from like 6 until 10 o'clock, and then we were like, no, I need to get home, it's getting dark.
And I told my mom, you start meeting, she keeps, and then the day we had, that time we spent, I delayed her, keep raising conversations, and 6 months, 6 months.
Proposed.
I told her, if you want to marry, let's do this. So that's how we met. She's actually God sent to me. I'm not a perfect guy.
I think personally for me, I don't see a difference or distinguish between black love or white love or African love, whatever it may be. I think love is love, regardless. God is love. And love is very important when it comes to a marriage relationship, but we don't have that love in and ourselves because we're so selfish. Even within marriage, we think about ourselves, and that's not love, you know. So I always say you always have to draw from the author if you want to learn what love is. So, life before children. Actually, we had an amazing marriage counselor, Pastor Sebastine. Challenging and hard man, but he was brilliant. And I remember in one of our counseling sessions, he advised that we at least wait 1 year after we're married to have children. So we decided, okay, let's wait at least 2 years. And oh, we had a good time. We had fun. And you know, it's good that you get to know each other whilst you're just a couple. Because, and I know it's something that he used to always say to me, that marriage is not about having children. Marriage is about us, you know, and we need to get to know us before you even now bring a child in. So we did a lot of things. We traveled, we went for dinner. We, you know, you can just wake up in the morning and decide, okay, what are we going to do today on a weekend, you know, instead of, oh, now you have to feed the child. And we also got to iron out, because we deal with things differently. It's bringing two different people together from different countries, different backgrounds, different, you know, everything in one house. So it was good to get to know each other. And I think we had fun before CJ. And I think it was also good because we got to a point where we said, okay, I think we're now ready to try for a child. And we had already finished all the things we wanted to do together and said, okay, I think we can settle and look and have children.
But now as parents, you know, I'm sure there have been changes. So just talk us through that, you know.
As parents?
Yes.
CJ's path for me has really changed the way I see God. And has made me see myself as becoming, I like doing things a certain way, and he's breaking all the rules, the way I want to do things, and I'm forced to love him whether I like it or not. He turns to me and smiles at me when he has messed up my stuff. But his smile gives me joy. Beyond, I don't see his mess, I just see him, and I love him, you know. So that reminds me of what I am to God, and that helps me also too. When I want to deal with him, I deal with him. Not that I don't want him to cry or anything, but I have to, you know, deal with him to know that this area. And now it reminds me of what God does when he doesn't answer my prayers, and when he doesn't want to push me to where he's trying to create that time for me to reflect. So God bringing CJ into our life is really bringing me close to him, God. Yeah, so that's my own experience.
So when it comes to meeting someone who is of a different culture, at first, when we were dating, that was not really an issue, being from different places. I think, you know, the rubber really hits the tar when you now say I do, and then you realize you're from different places and things are done differently and you're raised differently and you think differently. So I think the rubber really hit the tar when we now announce that we want to get married. So where the cultural differences come in, I think what really, really does help is that you are of the same mind in terms of belief system and spiritual aspects. So us being Christians and also believing in the same, I think that is really crucial, that the center is God. Culture then comes after that. There are aspects of culture that they do go hand in hand, they don't conflict with God. And where it does conflict, we always then default to what would God want us to do. And being African, there are similarities. So I think it was a bit easier than if we were of different color or continents, etc. So the basics we understand, whether it is, we know that we're going to have to do lobola, we know we're going to have to do, those things are common across. So I think it's a respect of each other's cultures as well. I respect where he comes from, he respects where I come from, and we need to always remember that we were raised differently, and the way that we did things, the way that I grew up was different, and he grew up differently. So I think it's respect of each other, but the common foundation is God. So, you know, at the end of the day, when there are differences and conflicts will come because of the way that we did things differently or believe things differently. Or, you know, like for an example, in our culture, you're not so forward when there's a question. You know, it's not usual for someone like Sebastine to just talk directly to my dad and just give him his peace of mind. You know, like, this is what I think, Dad. Whereas in his culture, it's normal. But in ours, if there's a problem, you go through the auntie then talks to the uncle then talks to your parents, and then it goes like that before the message comes back. So those kind of differences, we did have some clashing, but at the end of the day, we know who we are in God and how we handle that between the two of us. Yeah. I think our biggest challenge came when we wanted to get married, actually. I mean, I'll probably say that's the biggest challenge we ever experienced as a couple so far. So far. And we do have trials and challenges, but the biggest one we had was when we wanted to get married. It wasn't easy. I think coupled with the different backgrounds, different places where we're from, you know, just, yeah, a lot of differences. I think we faced a lot of trials. It wasn't just one or two things. It wasn't just only family issues. We really had some serious challenges that could have either made us or broke us. And I must personally say that that period was when we actually got to be the closest. As part of our counseling, we had already started praying together, and we had already started giving things to God. I mean, I remember I even had emotional breakdowns, was sick, and it was really not a pleasant time, all because we wanted to get married. But at the end of the day, we got so close because the way we overcame it was through prayer, and we must never underestimate that, honestly. It's not being cliche or anything, but prayer really got us through, and also we openly communicated and spoke about those issues, whether it was from my side or whether it was from his side. So it wasn't about, oh no, what is he going to think if I bring this up, or, you know, am I going to insult him if I say this? We openly tackled the issues and spoke about it. Just, we put it out there. So I think the things that really helped us overcome those challenges was prayer and being open and honest with each other. Yeah. Marriage, regardless, I mean, I'm speaking from our perspective. I truly believe it's a test of your Christianity, if you're a Christian. Because within a marriage, you literally experience all the things you're supposed to experience in Christianity, whether it is forgiveness, whether it is peace, love, joy, whatever you name it is tested in the marriage. And marriage is not easy. So just by that, can you imagine you're living with someone 24/7? All the tests of Christianity come in that marriage. So, you know, there are a lot of young women who do want to get married. My word of advice is, it's not easy. It does take work. We all want to be there. Marriage is more than just the wedding. I really appreciated Pastor Misiani because he helped us through our journey to prepare for day one after the wedding is over. You really need to prepare in your mind and your heart from that day one after the excitement of the wedding, the reality sets in. I love it. I wouldn't see life, I don't know how my life would have been without, you know, my husband. Or CJ. I don't know what my life would be, but I think it's also to enjoy those moments and to make it happen. You can't just sit there and think that he's going to please you in your marriage. It takes two to tango. Yeah, so I enjoy it as well. You are what you make it. You also need to make it interesting. So yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, I think she said it all. Can I just put and say, in life, I've learned in life that one day we're being born to be a child, and we grow to be a young teenager, an adult teenager, an adult. And if you're going to be blessed to be married, become a couple, get married, and one day you have children, you become a grandmother, a grandfather, one day you get old, and one day you die. It's obvious that these things will happen in our life, and we cannot run away from it. We cannot. So you find yourself as a young man and you want to get married. The way we go to school and study so hard to have the PhDs and doctorate degrees, we have to take marriage the same way as Source, the King of Kings who created marriage, and ask him, how do I get married? What state of mind should I be when I get married? I remember my dad keep telling me, are you ready for this marriage? Can you die for her? And I asked my dad, die for her? Why should I die? You can die for that woman. Do not get married to her. You have to die for her. She has to come first, and it's not going to be easy. My dad, I learned that from my dad. When I was told the first time to bring woman home to talk about it, that was the first question. And she said, foreign woman, are you sure? You know, if a man cannot die for a woman, if you cannot die for her, you can sin against her or do or cheat or do anything. But if you cannot die for the same woman, do not bring the woman home and marry her. It's practically that you're going to kill her in your house if you can die for her. It's two ways. But because you know you cannot do that, speak to God to give you the spirit and prepare you to go into such, and ask him to help you. I prayed for a wife. My mother helped me to pray for her. I'm not joking. My parents helped me to pray for it. I prayed seriously for it before God sent her, because I do not deserve to be married. I'm a very sinful man. Look at me properly. Talk. I'm joking. But what I'm saying is, I'm not a perfect human being. I'm a human being, a man saved by grace. There's nothing good in me except Christ Jesus, because I spend time with him. All he refined, you know, transforming me and refined me to be able to love. So for me, marry, you know, the last word I will share out there is for men who wants to get married to prepare themselves and take it as a serious thing. And ask so God can help them to make those choices and stay in that marriage. For men who are in marriage like me, spend more time with God, because the temptation and the trials and it becomes more. I'm going through a lot now, it becomes more. So that God can help you to stay constant. When you're falling away, He brings you into your responsibility to love your wife. You know, and there's a saying that the best access to go to heaven is how much more